Welcome back to the newsroom here at France 24. Matthew Warren is here with me with the business news. Hello there.
Hello, Catherine.
We're going to be starting with car makers in China, hoping for a good week.
Yes, that's right, with the Shanghai Motor Show opening on Sunday to the public. And of course, China, not only the biggest car market in the world now, it's also the fastest growing as well. So that makes it a magnet for car producers, particularly those in Europe who've been suffering those dramatic declines. Well, France 24's correspondent Duncan Hewitt has been to the Motor Show and has been taking a look at what's on offer.
Big, brash and shiny, that seems to be the mood in Shanghai this year, with China predicted to overtake the US as the world's biggest luxury car market by 2016. Bling is in. And here's a prime example, the Icona Vulcano, designed in Shanghai by an Italian company. It can go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 3 seconds. And the starting price, 2.5 million euros. For the eco-conscious millionaire, it can also be fitted with a hybrid engine, as is the new Porsche Panamera, which can reach 135 kilometers per hour on its electric power alone. Of course, big gas-guzzling four-wheel drives have been very popular in China in recent years, but this year's models are getting smaller. BMW is launching the new X4 compact SUV, and Mercedes has this new long-awaited GLA with headlights which can turn into projectors to show movies, and they're beaming straight at China's young urban consumers. And talking of SUVs, here's a new player in the Chinese market. The French car giant Citroën is launching the new Wild Ruby DS series here in Shanghai. It's the first time the company has targeted China's luxury consumers, and it was designed very much with this market in mind. It's another reminder of just how the world's car makers are now firmly focused on their Chinese dream.
OK, how are the markets looking then?
Well, let's stay in Shanghai, take a look at the Chinese markets. And the Shanghai Composite is down this Monday. Now, that's because, well, partly due to that earthquake in the Sichuan province hurting insurance company shares. The Nikkei, though, in Japan up strongly, as you can see, almost 2%. Now, that followed a cautious endorsement from G20 finance ministers and the IMF of those monetary stimulus plans.
OK, we're going to be looking at Britain now, which has been having a good old crack at its austerity measures, as we've been reporting a lot here on France 24. But Matthew, it seems that the austerity programme isn't convincing the ratings agencies.
No, that's right. Disappointment for the government there as a second ratings agency strips the UK of its AAA status. It was Fitch that did the deed on Friday. Now, as you can see, just Standard & Poor's rating the UK as AAA. Well, last week, the head of the IMF, Christine Lagarde, said that perhaps the UK should slow down the pace of austerity there. And maybe in a nod to that, the Finance Minister, George Osborne, is expected to announce this week that he's going to extend a scheme that lends money to businesses.
Well, we'll have to wait and see what comes out of that. Another country, though, trying to boost its economy with a bit of a novel method, in fact. That's slightly changing the boundaries of how they measure it.
Yes, that's right. The US seems to have perhaps found a way to boost it just by doing a bit of an accounting change. This is a story in the Financial Times. Actually, this Monday, as you can see there, they think that they could give a boost of around 3% to the economy just by including things that haven't been included before, like film royalties, for example. Now, these were things that weren't really known about when they were putting the accounts together many, many years ago. But it could mean billions of dollars added. In fact, an amount the size of the Belgian economy, giving a 3% boost. And they'll retrofit it as well all the way back to 1929 to give a long-term change, really, to the economic history of the country.
It seems fair. We're all talking about Hollywood all the time, aren't we? So, yeah, certainly a sizable industry there. We're sticking with things slightly cultural. Lovers of traditional vinyl records rather than the newfangled MP3s, they've been out in force at the weekend and potentially giving a boost to small record shops.
That's right. International Record Store Day happens in the US, the UK, here in France as well. And as you say, digital downloads have been, really rising fast, hurting CD sales. But in the much smaller market of vinyl records, it seems there's a bit of a resurgence, as Olivia Salazar-Winspear and Mark Thompson now report.
It's the biggest day of the year for record store owner Bernard Duqueyron. For the past 3 years, independent retailers here in France have taken part in International Record Store Day. The event promotes shops like Souffle Continu.
Last year was really good. It was an historic day. We'd never done that. There was a queue at the counter, which is rare.
An hour before doors open, there's a queue of vinyl fans who know what they're looking for. Since the event launched in the US and the UK in 2008, vinyl sales in particular have soared. They're now at their highest level in 15 years. Across town, at an outpost of London's Rough Trade Records, they're already doing a brisk trade. On this day last year alone, their flagship store saw sales increase almost 500%. They say the vinyl format will always be important, especially for bands.
When you're 65, 70 and you're sitting with your grandkids, what, you're going to open your laptop and play them a download of your band that you had? It's not going to be the same. You're going to get the record out and say, that's what I did. And that's why it's important.
Despite the comeback, vinyl sales in the biggest music market are still dwarfed by CDs and digital downloads. Analysts believe digital music, including streaming, will overtake hard formats by 2015. The challenge for bands then is turning these clicks into cash.
It's changed these days. I think to make money you have to perform as much as possible rather than recording an album.
With competition from services like Spotify and Deezer, the future of young bands may largely depend on their ability to adapt to a changing market by getting their music out of the virtual world and onto the stage.
So vinyl doing a bit better there, it seems. So let's get some of the day's company news now. And Lufthansa has cancelled most of its flights this Monday. That's due to a strike by cabin crew and ground staff at the German airline. Just 30 flights will depart out of 1,700 scheduled. The company has rejected union demands for a 5.2% wage increase.
Passengers could, however, be flying on Boeing's Dreamliner jet again by June. That follows approval for a new battery design by American regulators. Japan's All Nippon Airways will be the first airline to get the battery upgrade. ANA has 17 of the jets in service, the largest of any airline.
And the French luxury brand Hermes says that sales grew 10% in the first 3 months of the year. The maker of silk scarves and Kelly handbags said sales were up in all regions, with Asia leading the way. Revenues of €857 million matched analyst estimates.
Right then, Matthew, just to round off the business news then, a look back over to China and an industry that a lot of people might not expect them to be getting into.
That's right. Chinese not known for their love of dairy, but cheesemakers have been out in force in Hong Kong at the International Cheese Festival to try to convince them that they should try it. Well, let's listen to one cheesemaker who says the Chinese do have a cheese heritage.
Historically, you have to know that cheese always existed since antiquity. We even found traces of cheese in China. It's not a purely French, Dutch or Italian product, no. Cheese is a universal delicacy.
Very nice, but you can't beat a bit of cheddar, if you ask me. Thanks very much, Matthew Warren, with your non-cheesy business report there. And that does wrap up this half hour of news here on France 24. Thanks very much for being with us, and stay tuned. Catherine Norris-Trent back with you in a couple of minutes with more news.